if you're catching this live. It is time once again for the Forward Podcast, Forward Live. And the purpose of this podcast, if you haven't already been dialed in and listening to this before, is that this podcast is designed expressly to help put tools in your toolbox to help you navigate your day-to-day life and to basically help you become your best authentic self. So that's what we do here. And in case you don't know me, I'm Derrick Day, and that's that. So today I want to talk about change because we're early in the year, early in 2023, and people are in the midst of some New Year's resolution or some other change that they're looking to implement into their lives. And the interesting thing about change is that many people don't understand the cost of change because there is a cost involved to changing yourself. And if you don't understand the cost, you may not provide adequate investment. You may not provide for adequate contingencies. And as a result, your attempt at change will fail. And what will happen is you'll get disappointed, disillusioned, and the change that you want won't happen. And so, what we want to do today is make change possible. We want to grease the skids, if you will, to simplify enough so that you can achieve the change that you're looking to achieve. So, the first thing that we want to talk about before we change anything, we have to ask ourselves a simple question: why? Why do I want to change? Am I dealing with a financial situation that needs to be corrected? Am I dealing with a health condition that needs to be addressed? Am I dealing with something in my geography that's not exactly working for me? Or is there something that I need to learn that's absent in my learning repertoire? What, why am I making this change? And I always say you have to start with why. Why is the most important question that you can ask yourself about anything. Why is the genesis of any implementation or change. And if you're not open to asking why, then your change or even an implementation, a new implementation of something will be difficult, if not impossible. Okay. So why? What is the reason? And again, I've said this many times before, your why should not be external. Your why must be an internal thing. Why begins within. Why is at the center of who you are. Your why is determined by your core values. It's determined by what it is that motivates you. What is your prime mover? What is it that gets you started? I mean, what is the thing that puts the fire in your belly? That's the why. And you have to start with that, because if you don't start with that, everything else falls apart. So understand your why in everything you do. The second thing that you have to look at is the raw material. You have to look at the raw material that it takes to create change, right? And if you are unaware of the raw materials first that you have on hand and that which it takes to achieve the change that you're trying to achieve, then you're starting with a bad foundation, because you don't know what you need, or you don't have what you need. Let me give you an example. If you're remodeling a home, you know that, let's say you're specifically your kitchen. If you're remodeling your kitchen, you know that you need cabinets, you need countertops, you need trim, you may need flooring, and then you may need plumbing for your water sources and also your gas sources, for example. You may need additional wiring. All of these things factor into the raw materials. And if you don't have your material list, or what we like to call in my professional line of work, your bill of materials. If your bill of materials isn't right, your finished product is going to be off. There's no two ways about it. You have to understand what the raw materials are that are required. And so here in our what if we're looking at changing ourselves, and we say, okay, let's say for example, I want to change the level of fitness in my body, because this is a journey that I'm embarked on. So there are some things that I need to ask myself. First of all, what are the raw materials that I have in my body? In other words, I know that while I have uh, obtained or gained a certain amount of body fat, that I know that beneath the body fat that I have a certain amount of muscle that I'm working with. So I have to understand, first of all, based on the musculature that I'm already endowed with, what is it that I need to do to basically challenge that in order to achieve the highest degree of fat loss. So I have to look at what am I personally capable of? What am I able to do? And that way I'm not straining myself. I know how to put pressure on this so that I can grow, but I'm not changing or I'm not forcing unnatural change on this. Also, uh, you have to understand that, like for example, one of the things that I'm doing intermittent fasting, and the how intermittent fasting works is that during the periods that you don't eat, you force your body into a state of ketosis, which means that your body is using ketone bodies that are released from your fat cells by not eating. And so fat becomes a preferred fuel source instead of sugar, which we obtain through carbohydrates, right? So I know that because I have some additional body mass, that I'm able to tap into that ketone resource in order to fuel my body to obtain weight loss. So again, you have to know what your raw materials are. What are you working with? Or if you're going on a learning journey, you have to say, first of all, what do I already know? And what is the delta between what I already know and what it is that I want to know? So once I get this and I understand that, now I have the raw materials that I need to do the job. And also in the assessment of raw materials, I'm going to throw in a bonus thing here, and that's tools, right? Because you need tools if you're going to basically for granite countertops, you need a stone saw, and you need different tools to basically square up and true up your countertops. If you're doing cabinets, you need a level, you need a plumb line, you need tools for basically locating where the screws are, where the studs are in the wall, and how you're going to screw into those. You need the tools. You need hammers. You need screwdrivers. You need drills. These are all the tools that you're going to require in order to put the or you properly utilize the raw materials. So raw materials, tools, that's your foundation. The second thing that you have to look at is the labor, because there is no success without work. You are going to have to put in the work. This means that if you're on a weight loss journey like I am, that you're going to have to exercise. You're going to have to challenge your body to achieve the result that you want. Or if you're remodeling your kitchen, you're going to have to put in the labor that it takes to hang cabinets, to mount countertops, to change appliances, to change plumbing, to change electrical or gas fittings. You're going to have to put in the work. The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. Any other time, work is going to precede success. Okay. So you have to put in the work, and you have to understand what is the effort that's involved in this work, right? Because how much effort, how many reps of weight that I need to do in order to obtain the goal that I want? What is the what is the actual weight that I have to push? Again, if you're on an exercise journey, or likewise, if you're on an educational journey, you have to say, okay, what is the effort that I have to put into learning? Does that mean I'm going to spend time researching online? Am I going to Google things? Am I going to go to the library? Am I going to sit with experts in the field that I want to learn about? What is the effort? And you have to have a good estimate of this effort, because if you don't understand the effort, again, just like lacking the raw materials or the tools, you're setting yourself up for failure. Okay. The final thing is you have to consider time, because nothing happens overnight. And here's the thing, that what caused the situation for you to want to change now didn't happen overnight. This is not just something that just spontaneously occurred. And because of that, it took time for it to manifest. It's going to take time to change. So you have to know what the time is. But here's the really important thing to consider, is that this time has a cost also. Just like how if you're going to use labor in effort, there is the labor that you do, and there's also the labor that someone else does. But this labor that someone else does, it's dollars times time. And likewise, you have to understand what the cost is to you. What is the cost if you do it versus if you say get a coach to help you do it? Because the coach has some value that they're bringing to the table, just like you have value that you're bringing to the table in order to affect the change that you want. But it's going to take time, and you have to understand what this time is, and you have to budget the time. Now, this is the challenge, and this is something, speaking from my own perspective, is that my full-time job is so demanding of my time that it's difficult to find time to do other things. As a matter of fact, I had a cost model that has to be done by tomorrow, start a business tomorrow. So I had to spend some time this weekend in basically smoothing out that model, so that, first of all, that the cost of this project is well understood, and that we understand the time that it's going to take to achieve this. And also, I had to consider the time that it's going to take me to do this, so that it's properly done by morning. So I have to look at the time. And also, one of the things that I think people really underestimate is what is the value of their time. Because time is the single most precious resource that you have at your disposal. I don't care how much money you have or how much aggregate wealth you have. If you don't actually have the time to do the things that you want to do, or the time you need to, or the time that is needed to do the things, you're going to be setting yourself up for failure, because time is the most important thing, and it's also the most precious. If you don't understand the value of your time, that's like, for me, I know the exact dollar value of my time. I know it based on what my salary is in my full-time job. And I also know it for the things the activities that I do, not related to my full-time job. And I know what I have been compensated for, or what I think that these things are what the cost is, for myself, so that I understand how to price things that I do extracurricularly, if all of that makes sense. So those are the things. It's basically your raw materials, your labor, and your time, and all of these things working together, that when you understand that, help to put together a model for successful change. And if you apply this consistently to every area of your life, where you say, okay, I'm not satisfied with this particular area of my life, so I want to change it. Or I'm satisfied with the way things are, but I know I can improve. And this is another thing too, is that change is so important. Understanding this is so important, because what you want to do in order to have a really successful, meaningful life is you want to be in a mindset and a posture of continuous improvement. You want to always be in a position where, hey, I want to grow. I want to improve. I want to do better. I want to make the most of the situations and circumstances that I have, in order to maximize my life. And if you do these things, these are the things that, done continuously or consistently and continuously, that they are going to yield positive results in your life. And that's what I want to give you. Basically, everybody that's alive will change. You'll change your thinking, you'll change your being, you'll change your doing. And all of these things, when before you say, I need to make a change. Now granted, there are going to be situations in your life that force you to change. And so you don't have the luxury of planning. And when those situations come, you have to develop a certain amount of agility and flexibility to adapt to the changes that are forced upon you. But if you get in the mindset of continuous improvement, continuous change, continuous growth, that what will happen is, in your planning and understanding how to plan and execute, you're going to develop a mindset that will allow you to adapt to changing situations and circumstances far faster and far smoother than you ever did before you started thinking about these things and planning. So what happens is, you get better. And that is the money shot. That is the magic, friends, that when you get to the point where change is no longer a really difficult challenge. I mean, change is always challenging, but the level of difficulty will be determined by your ability to adapt to it. So, with that being said, I'm going to now I'm not going to do this on TikTok for you guys that are on TikTok. And by the way, if you're watching this on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube, or any of the other outlets out here, please click like and subscribe and share this video with someone else, because if it helps you, it'll help someone else. And I understand. Let me tell you, these are things that I've actually put to work in my life to help me achieve the success that I have. And if it works for me, it'll work for anybody. Because here's the thing, certain principles are not, they don't respect people. So if you follow the plan, and also here's another important thing: don't follow anything that anybody gives you textbook. You are going to have to adapt it and modify it to fit you. Because if you don't, what happens is you're going to be walking in someone else's path and someone else's groove and someone else's lane, and you may or may not have some success. But even if you do, it won't be the success that you should get, because it is something that you've done based on somebody else's criteria and not your own. So, with that being said, I'm going to open this up, and and basically, if anybody wants to join in on the conversation. And again, I'm doing this on Facebook and uh, YouTube and Twitter and all of the others, not on TikTok, because basically, if I do it on TikTok, the rest of the channels won't see it. So I'm giving priority to the other venues. So I'm going to drop this in here and say join in, and put the link there, and then also go here back to Facebook and my wall and place the boom. And so there we go. So now the links are there. Ronnie, I would have you on here, but again, because I can't share with everything on TikTok with everybody that's on Facebook, because I'm doing that through Restream, and because of that, I'm not going to share with or open it up to TikTok viewers. Maybe we could connect on another level, but anyway, you have to consider the cost of your change. You have to take that into account. And if you do, if you take the cost of your change into account, you'll understand what it takes. You'll understand planning for change that you can control. And then you'll also develop an inherent flexibility and agility for change that is forced upon you. But no matter what, you have to prepare for change. Even when you're not prepared, you have to develop the mindset, the actual physical flexibility and agility to deal with change. But if you do, I promise you, it will yield big rewards. So it looks like no one is going to join via the Restream link. I've given that opportunity, and but again, that's it. This whole podcast is all about helping you get the tools, training, thinking that you need in order to have a full set of tools in your toolbox of life that helps you to navigate life's changes. And basically, here's the thing: like if you're a major league baseball player, people always say, well, life is going to throw you curveballs, and you better believe it. Life will throw you curveballs. But guess what? If you are a baseball player, you have to hit the curveballs. They are going to come, and you have to hit them. So if that being the case, no one else is joining in, I'm going to bail out. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. Until next week, piece of hair grease.